Hi, welcome back. So, your personal mentor here, Mr. Personal Mentor here. So, it's so good to be back with you. Let's talk about money. It's generally not talked in your friend circles. Yes, that's true, and I don't understand why that's the case. It's so important. Money as a platform, identifying our fears around money, talking about money. Is something we don't do with friends, but it's important. I think it's important. It's important to at least talk about money with your loved ones, or say if you have a spouse or family members, then it's important that way. And so again, a disclaimer: I'm not a certified financial planner or a certified financial guru in any way. I am a business owner who has a business and who has some experience around handling money, around personal finance, as a creative, around credit cards and investing and all of those things. So that's what I want to share with you here. So let's get started. So what are our fears around money? That's a question we should start with. What are our fears around money? What is your experience around money? So for example, in my case, I grew up in Nepal. My father was a banker. He had a quite decent job and it paid well. So I've always been actually well cared for. I've always had a roof over my head, and it was nice. And as being on my own, I've been out on my own for so many years. Graduating as a medical doctor, and I lived in cities like Kathmandu, but I went to smaller rural areas where it was the resources were less, but you could offer more, you could offer your service more. They paid well, and I've been traveling. Traveling is something I like to do. I've been traveling outside. I've been to India, to America as a student previously, and even as I live here in America, I've traveled. We went to Florida last year as a family, went to Disneyland, and it was quite fun. My daughter enjoyed it, and we traveled to New York and so many different states. So that's fun. The love of travel, that's always been there. So let's get back to the platform. Let's start by discussing the overall picture of the platform of money, right? So what does it mean to us? Why is it important? And when you ask that, it goes back to your what is the thought process here? It goes back to what are your values? What do you value? What do we want in the future? For me, it's the love of travel. It is as always, it's having food and security, basic security, roof over our head, all of those things. Being able to spend time with my family, friends, being able to enjoy some degree of freedom, so that I can spend time being creative. I can pursue my creative aspirations, creative ambitions. So that's key. So again, everybody in their lives has faced some form of economic insecurity. That's the norm almost. So it's important to identify your fears. What are your fears? Identify your fears around money, and ask yourself, what's the truth of it? What's the truth of it? So for example, I personally lived in fear of economic insecurity. Coming from a middle class family, I've had that. But when I sit back and contemplate and ask myself, what is the truth of it? What's the truth of it? What's the truth of the fear of economic insecurity? So when I analyzed that, the truth was that it was fear, false evidence appearing real. It wasn't real. Okay, I was well cared for. I had a decent education, and I could afford to travel and, in a sense, live or purchase anything I wanted to within decent means. So they were the unbiased, unbased, baseless fear, false evidence appearing real. What is fear? So what is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. That was what it was. So boy, money, cash, credits, it's so key. But what is money to us? Again, going back to the question of values and importance, and what do we value and what do we place importance on? That's important. What is money to us? Going back to the idea of values. So again the question, how much money do I need to feel safe? Safety, that's key. But how much do I need to be safe? Or is it that there is bountiful money, love, creativity and freedom? The money is a factor of, that can help us get there, help us become happy. Everybody wants happiness, so money is a part of that happiness repertoire.